changed my life, honestly, man, because Matt and Jeff for me were 1A and 1B growing up. You know what I mean? They were my favorites. So to not only get to live my kind of childhood dream and team with my heroes, but to get to be around them and learn from them and see how they operate in a work environment like that and pick their brain has been incredible.
What's going on, everyone? Jon Alba from the Takedown on SI here, and I'm really excited to be chatting with Leon Slater of TNA fame. He's going head-to-head with Je'Von Evans at TNA Bound for Glory on October 12th. We are just around the corner from that. This is one of TNA's biggest shows of the year, and I think this is going to be one of the biggest matches on the card. Leon, how you doing, my man?
I'm good. I'm glad to be chatting to you, man. I'm excited.
We're super excited to chat with you here. I've been a big fan of yours since early on, and I've had the chance to work with the Hardys for a little while now, and the words that they have for you and just seeing your growth in the last couple of years here in TNA is pretty impressive. So, looking ahead to Bound for Glory, what do you think you've done right over the last year to position you for a big X Division championship match like this?
Man, that's a difficult question. I feel like the biggest thing that I've done that has set me on the path that I've been on is just be myself. You know what I mean? Like I haven't tried to do anything like anyone else. I feel like one of the biggest things that I've always tried to focus on is being unique, you know what I mean? And I feel like that's kind of what's got me to the spot that I'm in right now. And again, if I can say this as humbly as possible, like I've been given a lot of opportunities over the course of 2025, but I think it's very fair to say that I've smashed all of the opportunities out of the park, you know what I mean? Whether it was starting to team with Matt and Jeff at the start of this year and making the most out of that, or the Ultimate X match and making the most out of that moment, or the moment at Slammiversary with Moose and AJ Styles, the NXT debut, the showdown yesterday, and now we're on to Bound for Glory. You know what I mean? It's been a whirlwind over 2025 for me, and I hope I can keep this momentum going into the back end of the year.
What has working with the Hardys done for you? Because it almost feels like you're the unofficial third Hardy Boy right now.
Yeah, man, it's cool. It's super cool. It's changed my life, honestly, man, because Matt and Jeff for me were 1A and 1B growing up. You know what I mean? They were my favorites. So to not only get to live my kind of childhood dream and team with my heroes, but to get to be around them and learn from them and see how they operate in a work environment like that and pick their brain has been incredible. And probably even more than that, I'm on a very, very select list of people that get to call Matt and Jeff Hardy my friends, you know what I mean? Which is even cooler. And like you said, I've kind of become the adopted third Hardy Boy this year, and there's even fewer people that can say that. So yeah, it really has been a life-changing experience getting to know Matt and Jeff and team with them this year.
They are blown away by the Swanton 450. I know that every time they see that.
Yeah.
And I mean, Jeff Hardy thinks it's pretty damn cool that you do that. Like, do you process
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, and that's the coolest thing about it, man. Like I seen the clip of Jeff saying that I was his favorite wrestler. So like the crazy thing from starting training to doing the indies to now, I'm my favorite wrestler's favorite wrestler, which I don't think is something I'll ever get over. You know what I mean? It's very, very cool.
Sounds like a t-shirt, if you ask me, quite frankly.
It does sound like a t-shirt, right? Should make it
Your favorite wrestler's favorite wrestler. Leon Slater has become a lot of people's favorite wrestler over 2025. And you mentioned the Slammiversary match with Moose, which I thought was just the highlight of the show, quite frankly. And then AJ Styles coming in and endorsing you after that. What kind of equity do you feel that added to you as a performer with AJ shaking your hand and calling you the future?
I feel like that was a huge boost up for me, man. Especially it being AJ Styles, right? Like it wasn't just any TNA legend. It was AJ Styles, the guy that built the company on his back in the early days. And if you ask anyone, is the greatest TNA wrestler to ever exist and walk on this planet. You know what I mean? So for him to share that moment with me after his 10+ year absence from the company, and use that moment that he fully could have taken for himself, and no one would have complained if AJ Styles came out, kissed some babies, waved his hand, and said goodbye. No one would have complained, and he's absolutely earned the right to do that. But the fact that he took that moment and sung my praises and kind of put me over to the people at Slammiversary and in front of the TNA audience was huge. And it was even wider than just the TNA audience. You know, obviously AJ Styles' return got a huge amount of buzz. So even for me to just be within that circle of it added even more value to my name, I think. And it's been a huge plus on my side ever since the summer heading into the back end of the year for sure.
How do you feel about where TNA is at right now going into Bound for Glory? You just had this showdown event with NXT. The partnership has led to a lot of TNA talent being showcased. You're trying to fill out this arena in Massachusetts here for Bound for Glory. What's your assessment on where things are?
I think things are exactly where they need to be right now, to be honest, man. I think even since I've started at TNA, I remember my first match for TNA was in a Windsor College or something like that. We were in Canada, and it was maybe 800 people, and that was huge for us at the time, you know. And even skipping back to Bound for Glory last year, I remember it was the biggest deal in the world for us to get 4,000 people in the building, and now we're doing that, you know, kind of every other month. We just had Victory Road, which I believe was 3.5 or something like that, or very close to 3.5 if it wasn't. And the same with the tapings the day after, you know what I mean? So the fact that we've grown so fast and so much in this past year is a sign to me, at least, that we're on the right path, you know what I mean? And I'm super glad to be a part of it. And I'm very excited to see where this roller coaster ride takes us into 2026.
I know you're not in the weeds of all the media rights discussions, but I have no doubt you guys are keenly aware of all the stuff that's in the news cycle right now about TNA looking to expand on its media rights. Uh,
Mhm.
what do you think that would do for you guys if you could land on another network that could bring in another revenue stream? Where would you like to see the company go if it were to land in a new home?
I think it's only a good thing for us, not only for a platform point of view, to be seen by more people is obviously only a good thing because I'm a really strong believer in TNA as a product. You know what I mean? I feel like we've improved over the time since I've been here, that being 2024 and 2025. Like I said, going back to that first loop that I was on, we've improved tenfold since then. That's the production, that's the in-ring, that's the promos. Everything is leveled up, you know. And I feel like obviously with a bigger budget, we can do even more with that, and a bigger platform. More people are going to see that and appreciate that, and see TNA for what it is, you know. I feel like even since its inception, TNA has often been seen as like a little brother or a fourth brand or however you want to call it. But in 2025, I think it's been our mission to prove that we're more than that. You know what I mean? And Showdown again was a great example of that last night. All the NXT collaboration stuff has helped with that as well. But I do think it is time for us to get on that bigger platform and stand on our own, so people can see that TNA is it's a big deal, man. It's a big deal.
So, what is TNA's brand identity then, in your opinion?
I think TNA has always been the underdog, and I think we've prided ourselves on that. And I think heading into 2025, we're almost shaking that underdog feel off, and it's almost like we've been born again. You know what I mean? We've got this whole new lease on life ever since we came and rebranded back to TNA in 2024. I feel like it's almost an alternative to the alternative, if that makes sense. I feel like we provide, sorry, a third option. You know what I mean? For if you don't like this style somewhere or the style on the other side, I feel like we're a good mashup of modern wrestling at the minute. I feel like anything you like in wrestling, whether that's the comedy, the entertainment, the in ring, the promos, the storytelling, anything you want, I feel like you can find in TNA right now.
I feel like when you run down the Bound for Glory card and you're looking through it, you obviously have the Hardys and Team 3D. You've got Trick Williams and you've got Santana. You know, those are all great classic sports entertainment pro wrestling matches. But
Yeah,
then you look at Leon Slater versus Je'Von Evans, and I think the collective response from a lot of wrestling fans was like, "Oh shit." There's a true barn
yeah.
burner right there. And when you found
Uh-huh.
out that this match was going to come to be, what was your first reaction to it?
I was ecstatic, man. I was very happy because I'd seen the buzz that it got online even before me and Je'Von had even interacted on screen. Every week, Je'Von would do something on NXT. I get tagged in it. Oh, when we're going to see Leon, this and that. When we're going to see Leon versus Je'Von. And now it's real. You know what I mean? So it always feels good to give the people what they want. And it always feels good to have that pressure. You know what I mean? Or for me at least, I like having that pressure of having to deliver because I understand this is a very hyped up match and people are excited to see it. So now it's my job and it's Je'Von's job to deliver on that. And I am 100% certain that we will deliver that barn burner you were talking about.
What excites you about facing him?
The biggest thing for me is that he's so similar to me in so many aspects. You know what I mean? I've said it a couple of times before, but like my biggest thing that I've prided myself on in my career is being unique. Like I've always tried to make it to the point where nobody talks like me, nobody has the same gear as me, nobody does the same finishing move as me, nobody wrestles like me. You know what I mean? Nobody has the same jacket as me. That's always been my biggest focus is to be unique. But to kind of have that same energy replicated in yes, a different way, but also a very similar way. You know what I mean? I think someone said it on social media that I read, like, it's almost like we are the same version of each other, but just from an alternate universe. He's the American version of me, and I'm the English version of him. You know what I mean? So, Bound for Glory, I really do think it's going to be like wrestling myself in a mirror. You know what I mean? And that's what excites me the most about Je'Von Evans.
That's cool. And you don't get an opportunity to do something like that very often.
Exactly.
We're talking with Leon Slater here. Got a couple more minutes with you. I do want to ask you about that Hardys and Team 3D match. You know, this is the end of an era for a lot of wrestling fans seeing a match like
Yeah.
this. Not a match I think a lot of people thought that they would end up seeing here, but we got a tables match for the TNA World Tag Titles. This will be Team 3D's last match. As a
Mhm.
wrestling fan, how does it make you feel? You just said the Hardys were your 1A, 1B. I have no doubt you are well studied on a lot of Hardys and Dudleys matches over the years.
Of course, and I'll be honest, man. Like when I first started to get into the wrestling, it was a lot of video games and DVDs and stuff. Like I didn't really have the channels in the UK where you had to pay to watch Raw and SmackDown, so I didn't really watch the weekly TV. But I do remember, I got this ladder match DVD. I think there was two of them. There was ladder match one and ladder match two, and obviously the Hardys and the Dudleys were all over that. You know what I mean? So even though I am that little bit younger, and I didn't catch, TLC two and the Royal Rumble match that they had in real time. I've gone back and I've watched those matches countless numbers of times. So I'm very excited as a fan to be in the building and get to witness the kind of last encounter these two GOAT level teams are going to have. You know, it's very, very exciting.
Anything else you want to add about Bound for Glory here?
I think it's going to be a real good time, man. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a part of the company. I think, like, again, going back to what I was saying earlier about TNA's brand identity right now, I feel like Bound for Glory has something for everyone. If you want that kind of barn burner, crazy X Division style match, me and Je'Von got you. If you want that sports entertainment main event style match, Mike and Trick got you. If you want a classic storytelling, hardcore tables match, Hardys and Dudley's got you. If you want one of the best women's matches you'll probably see all year, India and Kalani got you. If you want to see a fight, if you want to see a brawl, Macklin and Frankie got you. If you want to see a crazy chaos match with a bunch of people flying everywhere, Order 4 versus the System got you. You know what I mean? There is so much variety on this card heading into Bound for Glory that really captures what TNA is about in 2025. And I think you'd be a fool to miss out on it for sure.
Leon Slater, thanks so much for joining us here on The Takedown on SI.